Good morning. We're going to get started. I think we're on live stream on Facebook and YouTube. I know we have someone on Zoom. Okay, our screens are up. Welcome. Chuck Collier and I had the opportunity on Thursday to participate in a simulation of reentry after prison. We were given a packet that represented a person, and I was Wesley. I had been incarcerated for 10 years, and my packet was pretty well supplied. I had an ID, I had bus tickets, I had a home, a spouse, and a job. But I failed miserably. We had 4 sessions. 3 sessions, I was sent back to jail because I could not accomplish my task. And it was lighthearted, but I was getting very frustrated. I thought, I can do this. Well, there were so many obstacles. Finally, the 4th round, we had 15 minutes. I was doing so well, and time was ticking away, and I couldn't accomplish it. I just didn't have the time. We waited in long lines. They wouldn't accept things. I had piercings, so I had to get drug tested. There were lots of obstacles, and today we're going to hear about reentry and real-life situation. Let us pray. God of all creation, fill us with a passion for justice and dignity for each neighbor in our community. Guide and support us through Koinonia to follow your example and your command, to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with you. Transform us through your Spirit to become conduits of your love and compassion in all that we do, so we become reconciled to you and your creation. In the name of the triune God, amen. Today's speaker is Dennis Brown, and he's going to speak about reentry into society after being released from prison. He is the executive, I don't know your actual title, Dennis, I'm sorry, I should have written it, with Opportunity House. And his partner in crime here, no pun intended, is Laura Talbot. She's the nurse with Opportunity House. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Dennis Brown.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear him?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Is this on yet? Can you hear me? No?
Yeah.
You can hear me? No.
Well, here, try this mic.
Okay. Hello? That's better? Good morning, guys. Thanks for showing up this morning. My name is Dennis Brown. I am the director for the reentry program, which is located at Opportunity House. I started doing transitional housing in Cabarrus County 2017 with the Aya House. Aya House is a transitional house for guys who's coming in from incarceration, treatment, and also homelessness. After about 3 years of doing it, I was asked to formulate a reentry program for Cabarrus County. I'm going to show you the slides, and then I'll continue to explain to you as we go through the slides. I can't see it. Okay. What is reentry? A lot of people ask that question. Reentry is a program designed to remove barriers, to provide opportunities, connect to resources, and give support to individuals who's coming in from incarceration, coming in from substance abuse treatment, or chronic homelessness. Making reentry, our job here in Cabarrus County for reentry is to make reentry seamless to individuals coming home. There's a lot of barriers of getting ID, just getting your physical, mental, and health dealt with. So we created a program that would deal with every aspect of reentry. And that's how we've created the Cabarrus County Reentry Program. Next slide. So what does Cabarrus County need? Why does Cabarrus County need a reentry slide? The reason we created the reentry for Cabarrus County was it's reentering, okay, I can't read my own writing. Reentry and refocusing. We wanted to help the individuals coming in to start to refocus. Being incarcerated creates a program institutional mentality. Coming home, we try to help them to try to refocus and see things different and see how you could move and navigate through the barriers that is there. Next slide. The numbers. As you see, there's 29,000 individuals that get released from prison in North Carolina yearly. In Cabarrus County, the numbers in Cabarrus County is 234 that got released in 2021. Out of those released, 36% go back to prison. And the reason 26% of them go back to prison is because they don't have the support and the help to get through it. The challenge is the 10 days after being released from incarceration is the most critical days. You need to get your ID. You can't get a job without an ID. You can't get your birth certificate without an ID. You can't get your Social Security without an ID. And it takes you up to 15 to 30 days to get an ID in Cabarrus County. So for 30 days, you're sitting around not being productive, waiting on an ID to start trying to get a job, trying to do something. Those 30 days, 30% of them gets in trouble, go back to their old ways, their old friends, and get back in trouble. So what our thought was and our job was, is, and we wanted to be, is before 3 months before anybody is released, we go into the facilities and create a relationship with them. Start talking to them, start seeing what they're going to need, start making a plan that when they're released, as soon as their feet touch ground outside, we have a plan for them. They already have an ID. They already have a job looking into. These are things that helps them and help them to keep focus when they're released. You want to check slide? Okay. Reentry in Cabarrus County. The Mental Health Advisory Board, this is how reentry came in Cabarrus County. 5 years ago, the sequential mapping board created a sequential mapping workshop for Cabarrus County. And we had to focus on the 8 things that was important to Cabarrus County. We created a multidisciplinary task force to look into mental health, substance abuse, and that created, hey, we need a reentry program, start helping guys that's coming in from incarceration. It showed that 90% of the individuals returning from incarceration do have a drug problem, do have mental health problems, so let's all put it together and focus on trying to help them. And that's what we did here in Cabarrus County. The difference in Cabarrus County reentry program than other programs is that the reentry program here in Cabarrus focus on the whole population, homelessness, mental health, substance abuse, and returning from incarceration. And we also provide housing. We try to provide housing for them so in order they don't have to go back to their own neighborhoods to be around old friends. Just slide. This is our community partners that we have here in Cabarrus County. We have a long list, and there's a lot of people who's not on the list. But we realize here that we cannot do it by ourselves. We need help. We need everybody to get involved in it. it takes, and we go back to the word of it takes a village to do this. And we need the help of the faith community. We need the help of employers. We need the help of the police, the sheriffs, everybody that have to get involved in it so they could be successful. Next slide. The goal of reentry is to reduce recidivism and relapse and to empower individuals to become stable, independent, productive citizens. One asks, what is recidivism? Recidivism is falling back and returning back to the same bad habits which led you to prison. And a lot of individuals coming home, whether from substance abuse or coming home from incarceration, if we don't change their surrounding and their environment, they're going to head back in the same place they came from. So we have decided to try our best to remove all the barriers. Let's address the root cause of reentry. And I think this next slide is going to show you the root cause. Well, okay. Cabarrus County Reentry provides, we remove the barriers by getting the documents, transportation, help them with resume, employment and education, and also housing. Addressing the root cause. Physical, mental, spiritual, substance abuse, learning disability, lack of education, underemployment, and lack of life skills. These are 95% of individuals who are homeless, who are using substance, and who are coming home from incarceration have all of these root causes. And we're seeing that just addressing 2 of them out of the 10 that's up there, it's not going to work. We have to address 10 of them at the same time. No one wants to go to classes and get a certification if they don't have a safe environment to live. I'm not going to go to counseling that I know I need, but I have to tell my friends that I go to counseling. They're going to be laughing at me. So sometimes it's best to remove them from their old environment. This is where the housing come in. Remove them from the old environment so we could give them the services that they need. Next. Addressing the root cause. These are the way that we have worked on addressing it. Holistic health. It's hard to help someone, to talk to someone about doing anything that's positive if I have a pain in my left leg. I'm not hearing you. So we have to address all of their immediate address it. So the referral to primary care physician is one of the things that anybody who's coming home haven't seen a doctor in 3 years, 4 years. And the doctor in prison only see them just to see whatever is needed. So they come home, we try our best to get them a physical, so we know exactly what's going on in them. Refer them to mental health to get evaluation and counseling. Refer them to substance use counseling. Refer to past and spiritual health evaluation. Career path. Employment readiness classes is done by RCC. Tutoring, GED, and certification classes by RCC. I also work with RCC, and RCC had allowed us to scholarships to allow them to get certification classes. A lot of people don't want to go back to college for 2 years or 4 years. So we provided certification classes between 2 weeks to 8 weeks. They could get their CDL license, they could get their forklift license, they get manufacturing certification, logistics certification, and decertification moves them from just getting a job into a career. Having a career make you kind of see further down the road than just what's going on today. The moving to stability. The Getting Ahead workshop that we do at the Opportunity House is a workshop trying to explain them about the resources, how to connect to the resources, how to have a conversation with your boss, how to act at your work, how to act in the bank, how to act on the street. Life skill classes, financial classes, referred to Prosperity Unlimited. One of the things we do in the guys that's in our transitional housing is after 6 months of getting all these classes and they start working, they pay a fee, but we also ask them to pay into escrow. So for the next year that they're working, they have to save at least $250 a month. That funds, when they're now getting out of program, would help them to get furniture, put them on their feet. That's one of the financial program that we have in our program, where it helps them to get their credit right. We start working with their credit. We start doing financial classes. This helps them to see more of a long-term goal than just short-term. Slide. Peer support specialist. A peer support specialist, I'm also a peer support specialist, but the peer support specialist is someone who has been there before, who has walked that same road and know how to tell you how to travel that road. Someone who's been to prison, somebody who's been through this whole process, knows better and tell you what to do and can help you what to do and what not to do. Like I tell everyone, I know where the potholes are. I could tell you don't go left, go right, because I've been there and I've done that. And peer support, that's one thing that's the glue to this program. Somebody who has already been there, somebody who could stand and talk to you and help you. And it creates a relationship, and you help to get trust in this individual. Next slide there. The foundation. I saw the chair on there, and I think the chair was put to show that we need 4 legs on a chair to be stable. If you have 2 legs, if we provide 2 services and you need 4, you're not going to be sitting on a stable chair. And it's easy for you to fall off. We need the 4 legs of this chair, of the stool, so they could be stable and so they could help them move forward. The next slide. The Cabarrus County Reentry Program. It's a participant in our in our program. We provide housing for them. We provide housing because we do not want them to go back to the same neighborhood to be around the same individuals. In our program, we do it where the first 6 months, we don't ask you to work. We want you to get your mental, your physical, and all the issues, the root causes that we spoke about, dealt with. We want you to go to school to get a certification. We want you to address all the immediate stuff to make sure you have those 4 legs on the stool before we ask you to go out. And the reason this came up is because before, when I was doing transitional housing, is we needed to pay the bills. We need to keep the lights on, to keep the door open. So as soon as one come in, hey, you got to go find a work so you can pay your fees. And they go to work, and they're standing at the bus stop, and Pookie drive by, and Pookie picks them up, and that's it. We don't see them anymore. So we realize from doing it, from experience, that it's best to help them to address the root causes before we send them back out totally by themselves in the community. And what that does for them, too, is give them time to be still. Give them time to sit and to realize that, hey, these services that we're providing will help and can help them if they all just take it in. Next. Okay, the associated costs of it. There's a lot of cost to this, and that's why individuals, the community, keep saying to them, hey, we're going to help you, but it's a lot of cost to help. And we need to provide the total cost, not just piece of it, because it doesn't help just doing piece of the work. The cost of this is housing. We have to pay utilities for housing, food supplies, transportation, personnel, house manager, peer support, case manager, director. We need to pay for substance abuse therapy, getting ahead workshop, medication, and office space. Lately, Cabarrus County with CHA, Corporate Christian Ministry, everybody else has started pitching in and helping us. We have got a lot of help from the community, and we'll continue to ask for more help from the community. Next slide. The summary. I hope you guys will understand or relate to what I'm saying. These individuals that are coming home are individuals that you're walking on the street with. You go in your supermarket, they're in there. You go to your gas station, they're in there. And the best way to realize how important it is to assist them is we did a simulation Thursday to show individuals the barriers, the hardship. Like she said, she was frustrated going through these simulations. And I did one in Gastonia 3 months ago, and the DA said at the end that these gentlemen, we told them, gentlemen and ladies, we told them, hey, for the crime that you committed, you got to serve 5 years. And when they come home after 5 years, like we're still punishing them by not doing what we do need to do to help them to get back on their feet. So please, in the summary here is that individuals you see every day, they have family, they have kids in this community. Their kids go to the same school your kids go to. Let's not ignore them, because they're not going to disappear. Every month, we have at least 15 individuals coming from facilities to Cabarrus County. We need to provide the services they need to provide the housing they need, and they could become productive citizens of our community. They could be helping us paying taxes. They're the ones, if we give them the chance, they will be productive. I always said this, out of 10 individuals, 3, they already made up their mind they're going the right way. 4 of them is still on the edge. 3 of them is decided, I'm going to do the wrong thing, I'm going back to the wrong thing. We have to provide a service of 2 at least out of those 4 that's on the border that we could move them to the 3 that's doing the right thing. And I think if we continue doing it how we're doing it, and with the help of our community, we could continue to make a big change in Cabarrus County. All right? Now, the next slide? What can I do to help this program succeed? The biggest way to help us succeed is to pray for these guys. We need prayer. Someone said we can't throw a whole bunch of money at spiritual problems because it won't work. But we also need money also. But we need churches to get involved in our individuals, to mentorship, just to have a conversation with them. Let them know we care. Continue to let them know we care. I think it's on the next slide. You can contact me, myself, at the Reentry. You can contact Miss Laura Tolbert. But let's speak without the slides and everything for a minute. Cabarrus County has, since November of last year till March, we have 36 individuals that we have gotten into our reentry program. That's coming in from different facilities around North Carolina that got arrested here in Cabarrus County. So they're coming back to Cabarrus County. The services that we're providing for them and we are able to provide for them is anybody who's been, first of all, anybody who's been in a cell for more than a month have trauma issues. Once they're released, there's trauma going on with them. We have to get mental health services for them. A lot of them went into prison because of using drugs. And they might have been locked up for 5 years, so they'll tell you, I don't have a drug problem anymore because I've not used for 5 years. You still have to go, to get in our program, you still have to go back to a substance abuse treatment. Reason why is you wasn't using drugs because there was probably none available in prison. Now that you're home, it's on every corner. So we have to make sure they go back to substance abuse treatment. And the promise is if you go do the substance, I know you've been locked up for 5 years. I know you don't want to go to treatment again for the next 30 days, but if you do this, this is what we will provide for you. We'll provide you with housing. We'll provide you how to get a job. We'll provide you for the next 6 months. You don't have to work. We could send you to school. You get your mental health taken care of. You get your credit working on. These are things that we promise them. If they do, this is what we'll do. We need to continue, and I always say this, we need to do what we say we do. It makes a difference when an individual gets some self-worth. one of the things I have on my card is reviving the human spirit. Being in prison breaks you down. We try to play it tough, but sitting in there, being alone, being away from family, being away, far away, it breaks us down. Coming home, we come home and we still act like we are strong and we have it, but we're very delicate when we walk out of those bars. Our plan is, we have great plans coming home until life slaps us in the face when we walk out of there. I want to go get a job, but I realize I can't get it because I don't have my ID with me, or my birth certificate that I left at my mother's house got burnt or got thrown away, so I have to start all over again. Within 10 days, I give up. Just like the simulation they was explaining to you. You go to the DMV and you have to pay a bus ticket to go to the DMV, and it's your last bus ticket. And after waiting in line for 3 hours, they tell you, hey, we need this document so you could get your ID. It's a turnoff. It breaks your spirit trying to get all these things done and getting slapped in the face. So again, if we could continue to make it a little easier, and that's our job, and that's why we get a peer support, because a peer support already knows exactly what's needed. So before you get to the DMV, we will tell you, hey, this and this, we have to get this together. We'll assist you into getting, to moving and navigating through the barriers. And I think we have been doing a great job at it, and we got to continue trying and making it work. And I know with you guys' help, we could continue to make it work. All right? Have any questions? Thank you. Sure. Okay, she's coming with the mic.
Yours is working now.
It is?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, now you can.
Very loud voice. Hi, I'm Suzanne.
Hi, Suzanne.
I have worked in the prison system in another state. Mm-hmm. And what I don't understand is you're talking about the 10 days. Mm-hmm. Starting it their last 3 to 6 months before they're going to be discharged, so they don't come out without their IDs. Mm-hmm. Starting the process, getting them some education while they're incarcerated so they get the skills to be able to get a job instead of waiting when they're finally released and starting the process, but starting it while they're still incarcerated so they have a hope for when they are released. I understand not bringing them back to the community in which started the spiral down and relocating them, but at least starting something before they even are released. Because I know they didn't do it in the prison system that I worked in as a nurse.
And most of the prison system, they don't do it. And right now, what I do, I go into the Cabarrus Detention Center, and I go to the Youth Detention Center here in Cabarrus 3 months, like you said, 3 months before their release. Start working on getting a plan together, trying to see what date they're coming home and what we could do to, make sure as soon as they walk out, we have a plan for them. The problem is we can't sign a paper for them to get an ID. We don't have, those are things that we are working on here in Cabarrus County. How could I help you to get an ID before you're released? What they tell us now is the DMV tell us, well, he's incarcerated. You cannot sign a paper, and I can't bring his IDs or whatever there to get an ID for him. So I have to wait till he gets released. For me to set an appointment for him with DMV, because of COVID, now it's getting a little better. Well, it was a month or 2 months wait to get into DMV to get an ID. Now it's getting a little better, so we're down to 2 days, 2 weeks, maybe now to get an ID, but we cannot, there's certain things we cannot do that we would like to do before their release. But I am working on it, and I've been going there 3 months before their release, and I create that relationship, because sometimes all we do and we can do in there is create a relationship so they know when they walk out there's somebody who they could trust, and there's somebody who's going to be working with them. Any other questions?
Nancy has the mic.
So you answered part of my question, I think. My question was, do you work with folks in the detention center here in Cabarrus County?
Yes.
And you mentioned that people are coming from lots of different places. Are people out of state, incarcerated out of state, that you wind up working with?
Well, I don't work with them before they're released, that's out of state. But if you are returning back to Cabarrus County, we usually get a call maybe 3 months before you release to start setting up a program and a plan for you, but I do not get to see them. What I will do, though, is maybe every month, within those 3 months, have a phone conversation with them.
When I was working in Connecticut, they were very clear in saying that within 72 hours, if you don't have a place to stay, access to an income and food, you're going to reoffend.
Yeah.
And when they put it out there that clearly, it was because you asked, why is the recidivism so high, et cetera? And it's like, because people are hungry, because they don't have a place to sleep.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're doing. So how many people are you working with currently?
Currently, we have 18 individuals in our housing program. We have a housing program that has 22 beds. We think we have about 18 in our housing program. But in the reentry program of Cabarrus County, I think we are up to about 62 individuals. And the difference is you could be in our reentry program and not in our housing program.
Right.
Because we don't have housing for everyone. But anyone that's returning from incarceration, treatment, or homelessness can be a part of our reentry program.
So you were kind of doing some numbers. You said 30% have got it sorted out, 30% aren't interested in sorting it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got that 40%. But if you're working with 60 and 250, 260 are getting released each year, then there's a bunch of people that you're not able to get to.
And this is the 230 something was released from the Cabarrus County Detention Center. What happens sometimes we don't get to work with them because they was only arrested for 2 days. They might be got arrested Friday night and was released Monday morning or Sunday morning. So those individuals that they call frequent flyers, it's hard to catch up with them inside the jail. And that's one reason why we created the reentry program at the Opportunity House. The Opportunity House is 2-3 blocks away from the jail and from the courthouse. And this walking distance, so anyone that we don't get to see, we have a lot of walk-ins. They coming out and they hear, hey, I could get help here, and they walk right down and come to the Opportunity House. Next.
How much money are they released with? How much money do they, when they're released from Cabarrus County?
Okay.
Do they get any money?
No. If you're released from Cabarrus County, it's usually money you went in with.
Okay.
Whatever you went in with, they'll put in an envelope and save for you. But as far as working, there's no working at Cabarrus County here. But in other facilities that you do more for long-term, which is a prison, they do have jobs. And I've seen guys come home with $200, $300 from working in the prisons. We worked in the prison. I got paid $21 a month for working.
Was that a 40-hour week?
Yeah, basically it was.
Let me I can't do the math, but is that, so 40 hours a week times 4 weeks, how much is that? $160 hours,
Yeah.
right? And you got how much out of?
I got $21 a month.
Right. Okay.
That's what we got paid where I was in prison.
So a whole lot less than $1 an hour.
There you go.
So it's
$1 a day.
impossible.
That's what I was saying, about around $1 a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What's the average age of people who are getting out or that are getting into your program?
We have guys. The oldest one that's in our program right now is probably about 60, 62. The youngest is 23.
Okay.
We have guys that's coming from the juvenile detention center. Those are 17, 18, but we still provide service for them, but they're not in our housing program.
So it's having gone through with Karen through the
Simulation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was astonishing. I thought I had to see my probation officer in the first week, so I ran to my probation officer. They said, give me your bus chit, your transportation chit. So I gave it to her, and I said, I just want to visit you, or my probation officer. She said, well, let me see your ID. Oh, I don't have an ID.
There you go.
Oh, okay, well, you're going to have to go wherever. She didn't tell me where. Go to the DMV and get an ID. Well, I already used one of my 5 bus
Yeah.
tickets,
Yeah.
right? Then I get to DMV, and they said, well, fill this out. Longest line, right? Everybody's got to get an ID. And so then you fill out this big, long form asking where your mother lived when she was 12, not quite, but but it was, it was really arduous. Now I go back to the end of the line, and there are 50 people, and time's up.
Yeah.
You missed your first week. You didn't get anything done.
Done, exactly.
It's a huge, huge problem with lots and lots of obstacles.
Exactly. And let me say this. One of the things probation have said to us is, if these guys are in your program, if you send them to class and they're doing classes with you, at least we know where they are for 8 hours out of the day or 6 hours out of the day. It makes their job a little bit easier.
My question is around the ID. Are there any other valid forms of ID other than a driver's license? And what happens if you've lost your license due to substance abuse or whatever? Everyone has a birth certificate, but does that not get you anywhere?
Okay.
So that, just more details about the ID and why it has to go through DMV.
Okay. A lot of individuals that's in that population don't know where their IDs are, don't know where their birth certificate are. So when they come home and trying to get back on the right track, to get they can get a North Carolina state ID. Don't necessarily have to be a driver's license. They could get a state ID. In order to get the state ID, you have to have 3 different forms of identification. Your birth certificate is one of them. They do not accept the picture ID that you come home with from prison. So you have to go to Social Security, which are going to print you a form and say, yes, this is Dennis, this is the Social Security number, you can help them. That's 2 forms of ID. So it's to get, how do you get your birth certificate? You're going to have to apply, wait for it to be mailed to you. So you're talking, again, we'll see it on an average, takes 30 days for them to get all the documents they need to go get an ID.
It seems like the birth certificate could start in prison. I mean, that part could definitely start in prison. Because I guess it has to come from the state, is that correct?
Exactly.
Not from a hospital, local hospital or anything.
Right.
Because of your state you were born.
Right.
Anyway, I just,
And the birth certificate, if you were born in Gastonia, I can't get it here for you in Cabarrus.
right.
You have to go back to Gastonia to get it. Now I think after because they've eased up with COVID, you could make a phone call or you could actually do it online. But you still need to provide identification to get that birth certificate. And you have to pay for it. Yeah.
How much is that?
$30? Wow. I know Cabarrus County is $20. You could get it here in Cabarrus County for $20.
So that was my question. Is it up to $120 because the person is applying from prison? Or is that like their fee for anybody? If I walked in and wanted one, they would charge me $120 to get my birth certificate?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because there's this fee and that fee, and then there's the shipping costs, and if you want to expedite it, and
Right.
let's just say what it is, it's revenue, right?
Yeah.
Here in Cabarrus County, it's $20, right? $15 to $20 to get it here in Cabarrus County.
No, he didn't.
I haven't spoken yet. Hi. Tell us about the housing. How many units? Where is it? Is it it's overnight, during the day, all of that? Tell us about it.
Okay. Housing, again, is reentry is for anyone who's coming in from incarceration, treatment, or homelessness. The housing program is run by Aya House, where it's a transitional house. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 houses, and we rent them in Kannapolis right now. We have one house, it was our original house here in Concord that we're waiting to get fixed. There's a lot of work have been done to it, but it's a lot of work need to get done to it. And the individual that's helping us just decide, hey, let's not do this piece by piece. Let's make sure it's right before we get back in there. So we have 22 beds in Kannapolis. One of the houses rented to us by CCM. Then we have 3 houses that's rented by individual homeowners. And what we do, we create a system where it's phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Phase 1 is individuals who are just coming in from incarceration. We'll have a conversation with them and we said, hey, we don't just provide a bed, we're providing a program. If you want to be a part of this program, we could give you housing. So if they decide that's what they want for the first 6 months they come in, we ask for no fees because we want them to get their mental health taken care, substance abuse taken care, going to the college, RCC, which offer them, we have guys that came in and got their CDL license, which took like, I think it was 9 weeks to get to the CDL license. He got his license, now he moved, after doing all of that, get his license, take care of all of those root causes, he moves up to now to the second phase, where first phase, you get drug tested every week, you have a curfew, you have to be kept accountable, you have to know everywhere you're going. In the second phase, you get a little bit relaxed, a little bit more relaxed. Now you have a job, now you're going out to your job daily, we ask you to pay your fees, and now you have to start investing in yourself, putting $250 a month in escrow. So that's saving for yourself. So you pay your fees and you start saving money. While for the next 6 months in phase 2, we work on the financial classes. We do get your credit right. Just stuff that you could start moving to independent living. Then the third phase, now that you're basically getting ready to go on your own, you start doing the same thing, saving more, still doing drug testing, still keeping you accountable, but now showing you, okay, these are the steps that you're going to make when you head out. You need money to start buying furnitures. We work with Prospect Unlimited. One of those programs that she has given to us is whatever you save, as long as you complete our program, whatever you save, they could match it and help them use it as a down payment for housing.
When you say down payment, do you mean rental?
Rental, if they want to purchase it, because that's our long-term goal. We try to get their credit right, get their financial, do budgeting, so at the end of the day, I know with the prices of the house just went up, now it's ridiculous, but before, that's what our intention was, still is. If they save enough money within a year, and we've seen guys, we have guys in the house right now that save up to $6,000, and it's ready now to move to the next stage. So we work with them if they can. Before, the plan was to use that as a down payment to buy a house. Now it could be a down payment to move in, to lease, whatever the case is.
In that 6-month period.
And our program is 2 years.
Yeah.
So the last 6 months, right, that's what we work on.
But in that 6-month period, this is just a strange question, just popped into my head. How many bus passes do you think are involved to get them through that period of time?
Well, the thing.
And how much of that do you all have to pay for?
The thing with the bus passes, because the first 3 months, they're only supposed to go out with a house manager or peer support. So we do have a peer support who transport them for the first 3 months, first month. So after that, now they're able to get on the bus for themselves. So we do use, I think we got 500 from someone and it's almost done.
Probably good through 100 a month.
Question. When somebody gets out of prison, there's a tag. Either, they've been imprisoned or that big word, felony. You can't erase that term, or you can't erase the fact that they are in prison or were in prison. But does it help employers to know that some of your participants or all your participants have gone through a program successfully, and that they would, even though they would not maybe ordinarily hire somebody who's got out of prison or jail, that your program, just the fact that they've taken it, would maybe give the employers another look at that person?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we speaking to employers, and I'm going to say this what an employer told me. For you to walk into my office and tell me, hey, I'm a changed person. I did 5 years and now I'm a changed person. I need a job. He said, why should I believe you? He said, but when I see that you went to RCC and did a program for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you got up, you went there 8 o'clock every morning and you completed it, that's showing me that you're a changed person. We work with a lot of, and the RCC and myself, I work with a lot of employers. We call them second chance employers, just explaining to them. And there's a lot of different ways that the North Carolina Commerce Department gives a bond and insurance to employees that hires offenders, past offenders. And I think it's like up to $1 million bond. That if they come into your job and cause you to lose money or steal from you, it covers whatever is stolen, how much ever you lose. But a lot of employers, I'm telling you, especially now, realize that a lot of individuals coming from incarceration is one of the best employees you would like to have. And again, here goes the 3 and the 3 and the 4. Those 3 individuals decide, hey, I don't want to go back there. And I'm ready to do what I need to do. Just give me a chance. Give me another opportunity. And they probably turn out to be the best employees you'll ever have. Yeah.
Is a bank account in this program where the individual has a place to put money.
Mm-hmm.
That's safe and possibly even earn money or interest a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We
write checks, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Do they do this?
Yes, they do.
Good.
We work with First Bank in Kannapolis here, and that's one of the banks that they allow our guys that's in our program to come in and open an account for $10 or $20, something like that. Where most bank is more than that, but they allow us to open an account for $20, and they work with them to help do, when they get up to a certain amount, they could get security card, credit card, which would help them start their credit. So First Bank is working with us and our guys that's in our program.
Thank you.
And the Nova Credit Union, yes.
Anybody else with questions? The Social Security process.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get a Social Security card without an ID. You can't get an ID without a Social Security card. Isn't that great? So we have found workarounds. When COVID first started, you couldn't go to the Social Security office. You can't just mail in a copy of your ID with the application. You had to mail in your actual ID. Mm-hmm. And you had to hope that they would look at it and remember to mail it back. We had about 10 that they had a new person, I don't know, but they didn't mail them back to us. So we had to keep calling. So finally we got that worked out. But yeah, some people went a month or 2 without their ID because they mailed it in, did it the way they said that they were supposed to, and they didn't mail it back. Now you can make an appointment to drop off the application with your ID, and then you'll get it then they give your ID right back, and then you'll get it within a week to 10 days. But you have to get the appointment for your ID, which was taking about a month, sometimes 6 weeks. So you finally get to that appointment, if you remember it, because it was so long off. And I mean, my guys don't remember anything. So anyway, maybe they remember to make that appointment in 6 weeks. They go to that appointment. Hopefully we've gotten them all of, you can use a letter from the hospital that's got like your face sheet when you go to the hospital. It's got your name, your date of birth, and all that. So they'll accept that as one form of ID if you don't have your birth certificate. We can give them a letter from Opportunity House. It's a letter of residency that says they can use our address. So that's a second form. And then you can get a letter from Social Security office that says this is your name, this is your Social Security card, or Social Security number. This is not your Social Security card, but this shows that you do have a Social Security number. So you can use those 3 things. Took us a long time to figure out those workarounds, especially with COVID. So that's how we've been getting people IDs. So then after you get all that turned in, it takes another week to 10 days for it to come. And then you can make your appointment with the Social Security office, and then another week to 10 days and your Social Security card will come, and now you can get a job.
And you need all those IDs to open up a bank account, to do anything you want to do. Even just,
That's right.
yeah, you can't get into Salvation Army if you don't have an ID. So those are the barriers that surround reentry. So a lot of guys that you see come in and head back to jail, it's not that they want to go back. Things is tough. Things is rough out here. If we don't provide a lot of stuff that they need, like you said, it's one way. I mean, I've heard guys at the simulation said, hey, I'd rather just stay in jail. It's easier to just stay in jail.
One guy stayed almost the entire hour.
Yeah, he said it was easy. I heard him.
Yeah, he said, I'm so frustrated.
Yeah, he said
and,
it's easy
you
to
know, it
stay
was
in
very
jail.
lighthearted, but at the same time, it wasn't.
Yeah, yeah. And what it shows that we who are a little bit more competent than we think they are, imagine if it's so hard for us. How do they feel? And, an individual come home after doing 10 years. You don't know about it. 10 years, 20 years. The cell phone, he's going ridiculous with a cell phone. He don't know how to navigate. He doesn't know the DMV, where the bus come, what time the bus comes. So these are all the barriers that's ahead of them, that if we just continue to assist them, I think it's going to be much better for them.
Well, our time is up for live stream. If you have other questions face-to-face, we could
Sure.
continue for a few more minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned we can help by praying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what other things can we help with? Like, do you have people that can donate meals or gift cards so you can get meals from local restaurants, or supplies and needs for the houses, or clothing, or like speak to like smaller tangible things that maybe we could help with?
Opportunity House provide meals for a lot of us, for a lot of the individuals. The guys who are in our housing program have meals provided for them. We help them get their food stamps. We help them so they do have ways and means of getting their own food. We need help, like I said, paying utilities. Just one of the things we ask for is, could you sponsor a guy? Because like we said, for 6 months, we asked them, they're going through different services, so they're not working. Could we get sponsorship for an individual for 6 months, for 3 months, for a month? Just whatever it is, no matter how small it definitely help.
Yeah, so what would that look like financially to sponsor, for example, one person for 6 months, approximately?
Our housing fees right now is $600 a month. So for somebody for 6 months, that's $3,600. Now that pays for help them with food, utilities, transportation. It's more than just a bed, and help us to pay the rent, Because what we do, even now, right now, we can't wait till individuals come to get the bed space. So we have to keep looking for more beds. And because of COVID, a lot of people was not released. Now that COVID is easing up and the system we're planning right now, they said by the end of this year, we should have about 2,000 people being released to Cabarrus County. That's from the juveniles, that's from the detention center and other facilities. And they got arrested and they lived in Cabarrus County. So we have individuals that's going to be showing up. We need to start preparing for that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No?
Thank you
guys.
so
Thanks
much,
for having me.
Dennis.
Thank you.